unaware his wife had just bought the $1 million apartment. Husband threw her and her kids out to move his billionaire mistress in what she did next. He didn't just ask her to leave. In a hallway that still smelled like fresh paint and new beginnings, he looked straight at his wife, with their children clinging to her sides, and told them to get out of the apartment he believed he had earned. That night, on the 27th floor of an upscale building, Emily Rhodes Carter stood just outside the doorway of Unit 27, holding her son's small backpack in one hand and her daughter's drawing in the other. Inside, her husband Derek adjusted his shirt, checked his reflection, and paced across polished floors as if he owned every inch of them. "Yeah, she'll be here soon," he said. "Ava wants to see the place tonight. Top floor, full view, clean lines. It's perfect." The billionaire client. The woman he called his future. While their kids watched, Derek spoke about Emily as if she were an obstacle, about their children as if they were noise, and about this $1 million apartment as if it were his reward for thinking bigger. He didn't see his wife shaking hands. He didn't see his daughter's confused eyes. He didn't see his son holding back tears. He also didn't see the truth. Because the luxury apartment he was so proud to show off the walls, the windows, the contract, the keys, had been bought in full with the inheritance Emily's late father left her. The deed sat quietly in a folder under her maiden name, Emily Rhodes, the name Derek never bothered to ask about. He thought she was just a careful wife with no power. He thought he could swap his family for a billionaire and keep the roof over his head. He thought he could throw her and her children into the hallway and walk back inside without consequences. What he didn't know was that the woman he was dismissing still owned the one thing he valued most, the home he was standing in. And later, in that same building, she would stop crying, open that folder, and make a decision that would turn his carefully crafted upgrade into the biggest mistake of his life. Dear viewers, thank you for being here. Watching without subscribing is like watching Emily and her kids get pushed out of that doorway and staying silent. When you subscribe, you stand with every underestimated woman and every child who was told they didn't belong in a home that was actually theirs. Please hit subscribe now and tell me where you're watching from in the comments. Then let's get into the story. The first time Emily Rhodes understood what it meant to lose a home, she was 11 years old and standing barefoot on a cold hallway floor. A big man with a red face and a ring of keys. Mr. Daniels, the landlord, was jabbing his finger toward the open apartment door. "You're late again," he shouted. "I told you last month. I don't care about excuses. I want you out. Today." Boxes sat half-packed in the tiny living room. Emily's mother kept saying, "Please, just a few more days," but her voice shook. Her father stood beside the couch, shoulders bowed, his work overalls still covered in dust from the construction site. He looked strong, but right then he looked small. Emily's heart pounded so hard she could hear it in her ears. Their clothes were piled in plastic bags. Her school books lay in a torn grocery sack. Her mother's eyes were already red. She could smell the fear in the room, sharp and sour, like sweat and cleaning chemicals. Mr. Daniels folded his arms. "If you're still here by tonight, I'm changing the lock. You can finish this conversation from the sidewalk." Emily's mother started to cry. Her father stared at the floor, jaw clenched, then picked up a box. That was the night Emily made a promise to herself, as she hugged her mother in the back of a friend's car and watched their old apartment disappear in the rear window. "No one is ever pushing my family into the street again." Years later, at 34, Emily sat very straight in a neat office, facing a man who had known her since she was that scared girl in the hallway. Mr. Collins was in his late 60s, with soft gray hair and gentle eyes behind thin glasses. He had been her father's lawyer and financial advisor for decades, and when her father died, he became hers. His desk was tidy, everything in its place. In front of them lay a thick file with bold letters on the front, "Property Purchase, Unit 27. Emily's hands were calmer than she expected. On her left hand she wore a simple wedding ring, a little worn at the edges. She smoothed the front of her blazer and tried to breathe slowly. "She's done well, Mr. Collins thought, looking at her. He remembered the shy teenager who used to sit in the corner of his office while her father discussed contracts. Now she was Emily Rhodes Carter, a mother of two, with steady eyes and a quiet strength. He tapped the file. "Well, Emily," he said in his mild, steady voice, "this is it. You remember what we discussed about the inheritance?" She nodded. "From Dad's company." Her father's small construction business had never made him rich, but over the years he'd kept a portion of every payment, investing bit by bit. When he passed away 3 years earlier, Emily discovered he had left her something bigger than she ever expected, a carefully built fund, meant to give her and her children a safe future. She had not splurged, she had not chased big risks. While her husband, Derek Carter, talked about doubling money, Emily paid debts, saved, and waited. She worked as an office manager, quietly putting away part of every paycheck, on top of what her father left her. Every late notice in the mail flashed her back to Mr. Daniels in that doorway. "Put the roof in your name," her father had told her once, leaning over a simple contract at their old kitchen table. "If the roof is in your name, nobody can drag you or your kids outside without you saying yes." Now, sitting across from Mr. Collins, she finally felt like she was doing exactly that. Mr. Collins opened the file. On top lay the purchase contract for Unit 27, a bright, modern apartment on the 27th floor, with 2 bedrooms, a small study, and wide windows. It was worth $1 million, and to her it was not just an address, it was a promise. "I've reviewed everything twice," Mr. Collins said. "The funds are traced directly from your father's inheritance and your own savings. No loans in Derek's name, no co-signers. It's clean." He looked up at her. "Now, one last question before we sign." He folded his hands. "Your father always said, 'Put the roof in your name, and no one can push you into the street again.' Are you sure you don't want your husband added to the deed?" Emily hesitated just for a second. Derek was 36, charming, ambitious. He worked in sales and liked to say he played in big rooms. When they met, he'd told her, "Let me worry about money. I want you to feel safe." It sounded romantic then. Over time, she realized it also meant he liked control and hated details. He skipped paperwork. He once tried to pour their savings into a sure thing that turned out to be nothing more than a friend's risky idea. She pulled them back with careful questions and late-night spreadsheets. Emily gave Mr. Collins a small, conflicted smile. "He says he's not interested in paperwork," she said quietly. "He just wants me feeling safe." She drew in a breath. "Let's keep it as we discussed. In my name only, in the trust, under Rhodes." Mr. Collins nodded, not surprised. "Very well. The trust will list you as Emily Rhodes to keep it separate and protected. Derek doesn't need to be involved for this to be valid." Just then, Emily's phone buzzed on the desk. The screen lit up. "Derek." She glanced at Mr. Collins, then picked it up. The text was direct, like most of his messages. "You done with that bank thing? Don't forget snacks for the kids. Big meeting tomorrow. Don't stress about money. That's my job." She stared at the words for a moment. She could picture him saying it with that quick half smile, already thinking about his meeting, not about what she was signing. Her thumbs began to type. Signing the purchase for the new apartment. She paused. She could almost imagine his reaction, excitement, yes, but also pressure, questions, maybe a push to use it as leverage for some big move. She deleted the sentence. Instead, she wrote, "Almost done. I'll pick up the snacks. Good luck tomorrow." She hit send, feeling a small twist in her chest. She wasn't hiding something to hurt him. She was protecting something for Lily and Noah. "All right," Mr. Collins said. He turned the contract around and pointed. "Sign here, and one more here. This is the trust, this is the title, and this is the transfer confirmation." As Emily took the pen, her mind slipped, for a moment, to another cramped living room years ago, this time with her own children. Lily, 10, and Noah, 7, bouncing on an air mattress in a noisy rental. Boxes lined the walls. In the background, a different landlord complained loudly on the phone about late checks. Emily had pressed her hand over the receiver and whispered to the kids, "Shh, it's okay. I've got it, I promise." Back in Mr. Collins's office, her hand was steady as she signed. First signature, second, third. With each stroke of the pen, the promise she made as a child and the promise she made as a mother came together in one line of ink. Mr. Collins gathered the papers neatly and slipped a set of originals into a slim, fireproof folder, dark gray, with a small metal clasp. "This is your life jacket, Emily," he said. "The trust, the title, the transfer. If anything ever goes wrong, this is what keeps you afloat. Keep it somewhere only you can reach." Emily took the folder with both hands. It felt heavier than it looked. "Thank you," she said. That night, after picking up snacks for Lily and Noah and listening to Derek talk about his big meeting while he loosened his tie, Emily waited until the house was quiet. Derek was on the couch, half watching a business show, scrolling through his phone. The kids were in their room, arguing softly over who got which blanket. In the kitchen, Emily pulled a chair to the tall pantry. She climbed up, opened the highest cabinet, and reached past the cereal boxes. She slid the gray folder all the way to the back, behind a forgotten slow cooker manual and an old tin. Her father's words hummed in her chest. She closed the cabinet just as Derek called. "Em, you still doing that bank stuff?" "Just putting some things away," she answered, stepping down from the chair, heart beating a little faster even though she had done nothing wrong. She thought she was only protecting her children from landlords, from late notices, from that hallway fear. She didn't yet know that months from now, when Derek would stand in this same apartment and tell her and the kids to leave, that quiet folder above the cereal boxes would be the difference between being homeless and walking back in as the rightful owner. Derek's voice hit the room like a shout through a loudspeaker. "I'm telling you, once she signs, we're in a different league," he said, pacing in front of the wide living room window, phone pressed to his ear, free hand cutting through the air. "Yes, she's a billionaire. No, I'm not joking. This isn't small time." Boxes were stacked everywhere. The new apartment still smelled like fresh paint and cardboard. They'd moved in just days ago, after months of paperwork. Earlier that week, Emily had carefully lifted the gray folder out of the highest cabinet in their old rental and tucked it into the tallest pantry in this new kitchen, behind the cereal boxes again. Her father's life jacket had moved with them, even if Derek never noticed. In the smaller bedroom, Emily knelt on the floor, tightening the screws on Lily's bed frame. Her dark hair was tied back in a loose knot, and there was a small smear of dust on her cheek. Lily, 10, sat cross-legged on the carpet, holding bolts in her small hands. Noah, 7, pushed a toy car along the edge of an unopened box, making quiet engine noises. Derek's laughter rang out from the living room, loud and confident. No, she loves the place," he said. "Wait till she sees it in person. Top floor, full view, clean lines. Yeah, it's perfect." He walked closer to the hallway as he spoke, his polished shoes stopping just outside the kids' room. Emily paused, her hand on the metal frame. His words slipped down the hall like cold air. She glanced toward the doorway, heart lifting for a second in simple pride. Derek had landed a billionaire client. For a man who always talked about getting to the next level, this sounded huge. Maybe this would mean stability for all of them. Maybe this was good. Lily looked up at her. "Mom, is Dad talking about work again?" she asked. "Yes, sweetheart," Emily said, forcing a smile. "He's excited." "He's always excited about work," Noah muttered under his breath, pushing his car harder. "He didn't even see my drawing." Emily's chest pinched. She reached out and ruffled his hair. In the living room, Derek's tone shifted. "I'll call you back," he said. "I'm with family right now." He hung up. A second later, he appeared in the doorway. Derek Carter, tall, clean-shaven, still in his work shirt with the sleeves rolled up, tie loose, hair slightly messy from all his pacing. He looked like the picture he liked to project, a man on his way up. Emily lifted a hand. "How did it go?" she asked. That sounded big. He gave her a quick smile, but his eyes slid past the half-built bed and the kids on the floor. "Just business," he said. "Don't worry about it." He moved into the room, but only far enough to grab his blazer from a box. His shoulder brushed hers, more by accident than affection. "You need help with that?" he asked over his shoulder. "I've got it," Emily said. Her voice was light, but something in her stomach sank. He hadn't looked at the bed. He hadn't noticed how Lily had lined up her stuffed animals, waiting for a real place to sleep. "All right," Derek answered. "I've got emails. Follow-up from today. This client could change everything. Let me worry about making this place worth it, okay? Worth it." He still thought of the apartment as something they were paying for, month by month. When she'd tried to explain the trust in the deed, he'd skimmed a single page and said, "If you and that lawyer say it's safe, I'm good." He never asked whose name was on what. Later that night, after the kids fell asleep in their new room, Lily curled on the freshly made bed, Noah buried under 2 blankets on a sleeping bag, they moved through the living room together, carrying empty boxes. Derek checked his watch and rubbed his forehead. "I'm wiped," he said. Long day. Emily smiled, tired but content. It's a good tired, she said. We finally did it. Look at this place. It feels like a forever home. He gave the room a quick glance, then looked down at his phone again. This place isn't cheap, he said. Building fees, utilities, everything. We need it to pay off, Em. I'm counting on this client to make things easier. So let me worry about that part, okay? Emily didn't correct him. Explaining that the trust covered the building's payments and that she technically owned the unit felt like starting a fight. He'd say she was overthinking. So she just nodded. At the console table by the hallway, she picked up a notepad. In neat handwriting, she wrote, Our forever home, E&D and kids. She tore the page carefully and walked to the main bedroom, sliding it into a dresser drawer under a stack of shirts. A small secret promise to herself. Later, when Derek disappeared into the shower, Emily sank onto the sofa for a moment. Her back ached from lifting boxes, but her heart felt full. She pulled out her phone and called her friend. Tara? She said. Tara, her closest friend from college, answered with a sleepy warmth. Hey, Em, how's the new palace? Emily laughed softly. Messy. Beautiful. The kids love it. Derek's busy. He's talking to some billionaire client. Can you believe it? Billionaire? Tara repeated. That sounds intense. It's good though, right? Emily said quickly. Big clients, more money. It means he's working hard for us. He's been on the phone a lot, but that's normal. There was a pause. As long as he remembers who he's coming home to, Tara said gently. Emily smiled, even though Tara couldn't see it. He will, she said. He always does. When she ended the call, she picked up Derek's blazer from the back of the sofa. As she lifted it, a faint scent rose light, expensive, unfamiliar. Not her perfume, not their laundry soap. Something colder, sharper. She froze. Her mind raced. Maybe a client at the office. Maybe brushed against someone at a meeting. Maybe nothing. Before she could decide what to think, Derek's phone buzzed on the coffee table. The screen lit up. A message preview slid across the top. Can't wait to see our place in person. Emily stared at it. Her eyes locked on two things. Our place, and the initial A. Her place. The one her father's money had bought. The one in a trust under her maiden name. The message pulsed on the screen for a second, then faded. Emily's breath shortened. Her fingers tightened on the blazer. Inside the bathroom, the shower shut off. Water stopped running. Derek's voice floated through the cracked door. Em, can you bring me a towel? Emily did not move. She stood in the half-lit living room, the strange perfume in her nose, the words of the message burned into her mind. Outside the wide window, the city lights glittered like broken glass. She had no idea yet that the next time that unknown A stepped into this apartment, the word our in that text would be more than a careless phrase. It would be part of a plan that did not include Emily or the children at all. Derek slammed the front door so hard the picture frames on the wall rattled. Emily jerked up from the coffee table where she had been helping Lily glue small paper stars onto a poster board for school. Glue sticks rolled across the floor. Noah looked up from his crayons, startled. The late afternoon sun poured through the broad windows, warm and golden, but the temperature in the apartment dropped instantly. Derek didn't usually slam anything. He stood in the entryway, breathing hard, jaw tight, eyes darting around like he was searching for an exit he couldn't find. He looked charged, restless, like someone before either a confession or an explosion. Derek? Emily asked carefully, rising to her feet. What happened? You okay? He didn't answer. He paced to the window, then back toward the kitchen, then stopped halfway as if he'd changed his mind 3 times in 10 seconds. The kids sensed the tension. They went still. Finally, he turned to Emily. We need to talk. The way he said, it felt like a warning. Emily stepped closer, heart thumping. All right. About what? Derek avoided her eyes. He rubbed his forehead, then let out a sharp breath. I can't do this anymore, he said. This. He gestured around wildly. This life. This holding pattern. I've grown, Emily. You haven't. I need someone who fits where I'm going. Her whole body stiffened. What are you talking about? You cling, he said, voice rising. You worry about every detail. You slow things down. I'm trying to move up, to build something bigger than this, and you keep dragging me back. Emily stared at him, stunned. Dragging you back? Derek, I've supported every meeting, every deal, every late night. He cut her off with a bitter laugh. Support? You call questioning everything support? Her mouth opened, then closed. The kids watched her with wide eyes. Derek looked away again, and when he spoke next, his voice was firm cold. I'm moving someone else in. The words hit her like a physical blow. Emily swallowed. What? What do you mean? He finally met her eyes. Her name is Ava, he said simply. She understands me. She understands where I'm heading. She's not afraid of ambition. The room fell completely silent. Lily clutched her poster. Noah's crayons slipped and rolled under the sofa. Emily's vision blurred. In our home? Derek, this is where our children live, he scoffed. Our home? Emily, you didn't pay for this place. All you did was nag me to move somewhere nicer. I did the heavy lifting. I made it happen. Her chest squeezed. A dozen truths fought to get out about the trust, the deed, Mr. Collins. Her father's money, but shock pinned them down. I'm done, he continued, shrugging like this was merely logistics. You and the kids can stay with your mom or something. Just pack up and get out. Tonight. Tonight? Emily whispered. Derek, Lily has school tomorrow. Noah has reading group. Where are we supposed to go at this hour? He waved a hand, impatient. I don't know. A hotel. Your friend's place. You'll figure it out. Emily stepped toward him, shaking. And Ava? She's moving in now? He didn't answer in words, just gave her a look proud, unapologetic that explained everything. Behind her, Lily's voice trembled. Daddy, aren't you coming with us? Derek's expression shifted into something softer, but it was performative. He crouched beside the kids. Your mother needs some time to think, he said smoothly. I'll see you soon. Don't worry. Emily stared at him, horrified. He was rewriting the story in front of their children, turning his betrayal into fake concern. He stood up and clapped his hands once, like ending a meeting. Let's go. Start packing. Emily's throat burned. She turned away before he saw her face crumble. She took the kids to their room and gently guided them to pack their backpacks. Lily tried not to cry. Noah kept asking, But why, Mom? Why? Emily could barely answer. As she zipped up the last suitcase, her eyes flicked toward the kitchen, the tall pantry where the gray folder sat hidden behind cereal boxes, her father's life jacket. This time she didn't almost reach for it. She walked straight to the kitchen, heart pounding, and pulled the chair over. While Derek paced on a call near the window, loudly reassuring someone that everything was under control, she climbed up, opened the cabinet, and grabbed the gray folder with one sure movement. She slid it into the bottom of a tote bag beneath the children's clothes. The action felt automatic, like part of some emergency drill she'd rehearsed in her mind since childhood. Grab the kids, grab the documents, get safe. Minutes later, she dragged suitcases into the hallway. Lily clung to her hand, Noah to her shirt. Noah's small backpack hung from Emily's shoulder. In her free hand, she carried one of Lily's school drawings, the edges crumpled from being grabbed in a hurry. Their neighbor, Mrs. Green, a retired teacher in her 60s with soft eyes and gray curls, stepped out of her apartment clutching her mail. She froze at the sight of Emily's tear-streaked face in the bags. Oh my goodness, honey. What's happening? She whispered. Emily tried to smile. Just going to stay somewhere for a bit. Mrs. Green's gaze flicked to Derek, who leaned against the doorway with his arms crossed, staring at his phone instead of his kids. Understanding flashed in her eyes. She reached out and squeezed Emily's arm gently. If you need anything, she murmured, I'm right here. Emily nodded, unable to speak. The elevator dinged. She guided the children inside. As the doors began to close, a delivery guy stepped out of the second elevator across the hall. He carried glossy shopping bags stamped with a luxury designer logo. Derek's eyes lit up. He straightened his shirt and strode toward the man. Right on time, he said, grinning. She'll love these. She, Ava. Through the narrowing gap of the elevator doors, Emily saw Derek take the bags meant for another woman into the home she had bought. Inside the elevator, Noah whispered, Mom, what's Dad doing? Emily held her children tighter, voice barely more than a breath. I didn't scream. I didn't beg. I just held on to you both and walked away from the home I bought to protect you. The elevator doors shut. As it descended, Emily's eyes filled with tears, but behind them, something else quietly formed. A thought, a memory, a gray folder in her tote bag, and a line her father once told her, echoing faintly, "If the roof is in your name, no one can ever force you out." She wiped her tears slowly. Something was coming, and Derek had no idea. Derek's words still rang in her ears hours later. "Get out. Tonight." Emily sat stiffly on the edge of a thin mattress on the floor of Tara's spare room, her breath shaking as if the sentence had followed her across town. Beside her, Lily and Noah slept curled around their stuffed toys, their small chests rising and falling too fast for comfort, too slow for peace. The room was dim, lit only by a weak lamp. Shadows stretched long across the walls. Traffic hummed faintly outside. The carpet scratched the soles of her feet. Her back ached from carrying bags and from holding herself together in front of the kids. Emily stared at her phone screen through blurry eyes. It was smudged from her fingers. Derek hadn't called. He hadn't texted. Not one word asking if the children were okay. Her pulse hammered. A memory surged back, uninvited, vivid. Little Emily, no older than Lily was now, standing in a cold hallway with a half-sipped suitcase. Her mother crying softly. Her father, dusty from the construction site, kneeling in front of her, cupping her cheeks. "One day, Emmy," he had whispered, while the landlord shouted in the stairwell, "You'll own a home, no one can force you to leave." The vision shattered, leaving her breathless. A soft knock pulled her into the present. Tara stepped inside, carrying a glass of water. Early 30s, warm brown eyes, hair in a low bun, she was the steady kind of friend you call when the whole world feels like it's tilting. She set the glass down and sat cross-legged on the floor. "You haven't slept," Tara said gently. Emily gave a broken laugh. "Should I? Everything feels unreal." Tara studied her. "You can't just let him do this, Em." Emily pulled the blanket tighter around her shoulders. "I didn't let him. He forced us out." "But he shouldn't have been able to," Tara said, firm now. Emily frowned. "What do you mean?" Tara hesitated. "You bought that place, Emily. You used your dad's inheritance. You signed the papers. It's yours." Emily's stomach twisted. Her gaze slid to the tote bag propped against the wall. She hadn't told Tara what she'd grabbed from the pantry in those frantic minutes before leaving. After a long moment, she reached for the bag and pulled out the gray fireproof folder. The metal clasp glinted under the lamp. Tara's eyebrows lifted. "Is that?" Emily opened it carefully. Papers slid out, bank statements tracing her father's inheritance, trust documents in the name Emily Rhodes, her father's will, and the boldest document of all, the property deed for Unit 27. Owner, Emily Rhodes. Held in trust for the benefit of Emily Rhodes Carter and her children. Tara leaned closer. "My God, you own everything. That apartment, the trust, all of it. Derek's name isn't on a single page." Emily swallowed. "I never told him every detail. If I insisted on keeping it in my name, he would have said I didn't trust him. I just told him the lawyer structured it for us. I wanted it to feel like our home, not something I controlled." Tara shook her head slowly. "This doesn't mean you lied to him. This means he just threw himself out of your property." The words hit Emily hard. Her property, her father's dream, her children's home. And she had walked out of it because she'd been too stunned to speak. Tara's voice softened. "Emily, what are you going to do?" Emily looked at her children. Noah had kicked off his blanket. Lily's fingers were clenched around her stuffed rabbit's ears. She touched the deed with trembling fingertips. She wasn't that little girl in the hallway anymore. Her father's voice whispered again, "No one can force you to leave." Slowly, Emily sat straighter. Her heartbeat steadied. Something inside her, quiet and fierce, woke up. She reached for her phone. Her thumb hovered, then moved with purpose. In the search bar, she typed, "Family lawyer near me, eviction spouse, children rights." The screen glowed in the dark. Tara watched, her expression shifting from worry to resolve. Emily exhaled as search results loaded. She clicked on one with strong reviews for custody and property cases. Harris & Co., family law. She hit request callback and filled in her details before she could second-guess herself. A faint thumbnail of a photo on her lock screen caught her eye, a picture of the apartment taken days earlier. Sunlight bright on the polished floor, kids' socks on the rug. The image sharpened something in her chest. Tomorrow, she promised herself. Tomorrow, this changes. Doubt hit Emily like a slap the moment she stepped into the lawyer's office. Not gentle doubt, hard, cold doubt. What if I can't prove anything? What if Derek twists everything? What if this makes it worse for the kids? The door to Mr. Harris's office swung open, quiet, controlled, nothing like the chaos in her head. "Mrs. Carter?" he said. He was in his mid-40s, sharp suit, calm posture, steady eyes. A man who didn't need to raise his voice to be heard. "Emily," she corrected softly as she shook his hand. "Emily Rhodes Carter." "Emily," he said, nodding. "Come in." Behind her, Tara squeezed her shoulder before waiting in reception. Just knowing someone was out there steadied her. Inside, the office was neat, polished wood desk, soft lamplight, diplomas on the wall, shelves of thick law books. Emily sat down slowly, her tote bag on her lap like a shield. Mr. Harris folded his hands. "Start wherever you can," he said. "Tell me what happened." For a moment, words stuck in her throat. Saying it out loud made it real in a way it hadn't been yet. She opened her bag and placed the gray folder on his desk. "He threw me and my kids out," she said finally, "so another woman could move in, into a place I paid for with my inheritance." Mr. Harris's face stayed neutral, but a subtle tightening around his eyes showed he understood the gravity. He gestured to the folder. "May I?" Emily nodded. He unclasped it. The document spread across the desk. The trust, the bank trail, the deed. He skimmed, eyes sharp, used to reading quickly but carefully. "Did your husband contribute any money or sign anything related to this purchase?" he asked. "No," Emily said. "I used my dad's inheritance and my savings. We structured it through a trust. He didn't come to the signing. He said paperwork bored him." "Any mortgage?" Harris asked. "No. Paid in full." "Good," he said. "Legally, this is clean. You are the sole owner." A small breath escaped her, but, he said, "we need more than ownership to build the full case. We need a trail." He leaned forward slightly. "Walk me through the night he told you to leave. Be specific." Emily did. The slamming door. The speech about her holding him back. The sentence, "I'm moving someone else in." The kids packing, the neighbors seeing them, the luxury bags arriving. Derek taking them with a grin. "And he knew you had nowhere specific to go that night?" Harris asked. "Yes," Emily whispered. "I asked where we were supposed to go. He said I'd figure it out." Mr. Harris wrote quickly. "That's important," he said. "Judges care about how children are treated when a relationship breaks down." He glanced up again. "You mentioned another woman?" "Ava," Emily said. He said that's her name. "I saw a text from her once on his phone. She wrote, 'Can't wait to see our place.' Do you still have any access to his messages or social media?" Harris asked. "Anything showing her inside the apartment?" Emily hesitated. "Not directly, but my friend Tara and I found her public profile last night. She's a billionaire investor. She posted a balcony photo. It's my balcony. And she posted a picture of the room that used to be my son's, turned into a dressing room." "Good," he said immediately. "Screenshot every post that shows the interior. Make sure the timestamps are visible. Send them to me tonight. Don't comment on her posts. Don't warn him. Just save everything." He jotted down a list. "Any witnesses who saw you leaving with suitcases?" he asked. "Mrs. Green," Emily said. "My neighbor. She saw me crying. She saw the kids. She saw Derek ignore us and accept designer bags." "Perfect," Harris said. "We may need a written statement." He looked back at the deed, then at Emily. "Here's the strategy," he said in plain language. "We'll file for divorce, for custody, and for exclusive possession of your property. In other words, you and the kids live there. He doesn't. We'll also file for child support." Emily swallowed. "Will we have to go to court right away?" "We'll likely have an initial hearing," he said. "We'll request that the court recognize your ownership and grant a temporary order removing him from the property. With the deed, the social media posts, and your neighbor's statement, we have a strong starting point." He held up a hand. "But you must not confront him in person. Don't show up at the apartment trying to argue. Don't tell him what you own. The more he thinks he's in control, the less he prepares. Let the law be the surprise." The word surprise echoed inside Emily. She'd spent years feeling like the one bracing for other people's decisions. Now, for once, he would be the one caught off guard. Mr. Harris slid a retainer agreement toward her. "If you want me to represent you, sign here," he said. "Once you do, I'll start drafting the petitions today." Emily looked at the pen. Images flashed, Lily crying in the elevator. Noah asking, "Why, Mom?" Derek smiling as he took those shopping bags. A balcony photo on Ava's profile. Her father's voice whispered, "One day, Emmy. No one will force you to leave." She signed. Her hand didn't shake this time. As she gathered her papers, Mr. Harris said one final thing. By the time he understands who really owns that apartment, it'll be too late for him to rewrite the story. Emily stepped back into the waiting area. Tara stood immediately. "Well?" Tara asked. Emily didn't speak. She simply held up the folder and the signed agreement. Tara's eyes filled with relief. At that moment, Emily's phone buzzed with a new message from an unknown number. "Hi, this is Ava." The building entry system still has this as the contact number for Unit 27. "Derek said I could start moving my things in early. I'm outside the apartment now. Could you buzz me up?" Emily's breath stopped. The building still had her number listed as the primary contact for Unit 27. Derek thought he'd taken her home. He hadn't even bothered to change the entry details. Emily looked at Tara, then at the folder in her hands. Evidence was literally texting her. And the next step of her plan had just walked straight up to the door of property that on paper and in law belonged only to her. Emily stared at the message on her phone, still standing just outside Mr. Harris's office. "Hi, this is Ava." The building entry system still has this as the contact number for Unit 27. "Derek said I could start moving my things in early. I'm outside the apartment now. Could you buzz me up?" Her fingers went cold. Mr. Harris, who had just walked her out, noticed her expression. "Something wrong?" She silently handed him the phone. He read, and one corner of his mouth tightened. "Is this the same Ava you mentioned?" Emily nodded. "And she got your number from?" "The intercom system," Emily said. "When we moved in, my number was listed as the main contact for Unit 27. "So the building still recognizes you as the primary resident," he said. "Good. Don't reply. Screenshot it." She did, thumbs moving with new steadiness. "We'll add this to the file," Harris said. "That message shows Derek invited another woman to move into a unit that belongs to you, and that even the building systems still treat you as the point of contact. That's excellent corroborating evidence." He handed the phone back. "Go home to your friend, be with your children," he said. "I'll draft the petitions tonight," Emily exhaled. For the first time since Derek had thrown her out, something about the situation felt tilted in her favor. Derek's laugh boomed through the apartment, Emily's apartment so loud it bounced off the newly repainted walls. A champagne cork shot across the living room and hit the far wall with a sharp thwack. Gold liquid fizzed into tall glasses. Luxury boxes covered the dining table. Fresh flowers filled tall vases. The home Emily had chosen for Lily and Noah felt like a showroom now. A woman stepped into view. Ava, tall, elegant, soft curls falling over her shoulders. She wore a sleek navy dress and understated jewelry. For all her wealth, her expression held a flicker of nervousness. She walked slowly across the living room, taking it all in. Her eyes snagged on a small chip in the wall near the hallway, where Lily once banged her backpack too hard after school. Emily had always meant to fix it. Ava reached out and gently brushed her fingers over the chip. "Derek," she said, voice light but uncertain, "you're sure everything is clean with this place? No unresolved paperwork? No complications?" She avoided the word wife, but it hung there anyway. Derek slid an arm around her shoulders, confident. "Completely clean," he said. "We were done long before you." She left. I stayed. This place needed a fresh start. Ava's eyebrows pinched slightly. The neighbor in the hall, the older woman, she said she saw a woman and 2 kids leaving with bags a little while ago. Derek chuckled. "Old drama. Trust me, Emily and I have been over for months. She's better off somewhere else. So are the kids. Kids need stability, not tension." Ava nodded slowly, wanting to believe him. "And the lease? Ownership? It's all under you?" Derek didn't flinch. "I've been handling this place since the beginning," he said confidently, conveniently skipping every detail he never bothered to understand. To seal it, he lifted his phone. "Come here," he said, pulling her close for a selfie. Click. Another, with him grinning. Another, kissing her cheek. Then they clinked their glasses together. Ava wandered to the balcony and took a picture of the skyline. She posted it quickly with a soft caption. "New beginnings at last." She snapped another photo, this time of the living room. slightly blurred but recognizable to anyone who knew the shape of the windows. Another of Derek's hand holding hers over dinner, all public, all time-stamped, all traceable. The soft glow of a laptop screen lit Emily's face as she sat at Tara's kitchen table that night. Her hair was pulled back into a loose ponytail, dark circles under her eyes. Tara sat beside her, folding laundry in slow, methodical motions. Emily typed Ava, last name, into the search bar, the way she and Tara had done the night before. The same verified profile popped up: billionaire investor, charity boards, glossy magazine features. New posts flashed at the top. Emily clicked on the balcony photo. There it was, the specific curve in the railing she knew too well. The reflection of the living room windows behind it, the same windows where Noah once pressed his face to watch airplanes. Screenshot. She tapped the blurred living room shot. Even blurred, Emily recognized the layout. The wall where Lily's school poster had been taped last week, now replaced by abstract art. Screenshot. She saved each file into a folder on her desktop titled Evidence, Apartment Occupancy. Her voice, in quiet narration, rose in her mind. He wanted the world to see his upgrade. I just needed the judge to see it. Emily met Mrs. Green in a small neighborhood park, far from the building. They sat together on a bench under a young maple tree. Children's laughter rang faintly from the playground. Mrs. Green held her canvas grocery bag in her lap, fingers twisting the handles. I don't want trouble, she admitted softly. But what he did, it hasn't sat right with me. Emily's hands rested on her knees, knuckles pale. I'm filing for custody and for the right to take the kids back into our home, she said. I don't want drama. I just need the truth, Mrs. Green nodded, eyes moist. Then the truth is this. I saw you leave with the children that night. Your hands were shaking. The kids were pale. You told me you were going to stay somewhere for a bit, but I knew something was wrong. She swallowed. 2 days later, I saw that same man opening the door for another woman. They had shopping bags. He looked proud. Emily's throat tightened. Would you be willing to say that to my lawyer? To the court if needed? Mrs. Green held her gaze. For you and those children? She said. Yes, I will. Relief pricked behind Emily's eyes. Thank you. You're not the first woman I've seen pushed out of a home, Mrs. Green added quietly. But you might be the first one with the papers to walk back in. Back in Tara's spare room, after Lily and Noah finally fell asleep, Emily checked her phone one more time. Another notification, another post from Ava. This one made her breath stop. It was taken inside the kids' old room, where Noah's small bed had been, where Lily had taped her drawings in crooked rows. Now, a white vanity with lights, heels lined in a perfect row. A silk robe tossed across a large chair. Caption, turning this spare room into my dream dressing space. Emily's grip tightened on the phone until her knuckles whitened. She didn't cry. She didn't throw the phone. She didn't break. Inside, her voice sharpened. She was standing where my son's bed used to be, and she didn't even know whose room it really was. She saved the post to her evidence folder, then forwarded everything to Mr. Harris with a short message. New photos from inside Unit 27. Time-stamped. From her public account. She put the phone down beside the gray folder and lay back on the mattress, staring at the ceiling. Tomorrow wouldn't be about anger. Tomorrow would be about action. Because now, she had everything she needed, and the law was finally ready to move. The courthouse doors closed behind Emily with a heavy thud that seemed to echo down the hallway. For a second, she just stood there, caught between fear and resolve, until Mr. Harris touched her elbow lightly. This way, he said. His voice was steady. The rhythm of his footsteps on the polished floor pulled her forward past framed portraits of judges and old wooden benches, where other families clutched their own folders and fears. Today wasn't just about filing paperwork. It was about ending a marriage, reclaiming a home, and setting legal protections around Lily and Noah. They reached the filing window. A clerk in her 50s, glasses low on her nose, looked up. Next. Mr. Harris stepped forward, placing documents neatly on the counter. Petition for dissolution of marriage, he said. Motion for exclusive possession of property Unit 27. And motion for temporary child custody and support. The clerk flipped through each page with practiced efficiency. Every turn of a page made Emily feel like another piece of chaos was being sorted. Finally, the clerk picked up a large date stamp. She pressed it down. Thunk. Divorce petition. Thunk. Exclusive possession. Thunk. Custody and support motion. When the clerk slid the stamped copies back, her expression softened just a little. You'll receive notice of your initial hearing date, she said. Given the circumstances, it should be relatively soon. Emily nodded, swallowing hard. Thank you. As they stepped away, Mr. Harris spoke in clear, simple terms. Here's what these filings are asking for, he said. 1. The court recognizes you as the sole owner of Unit 27, with exclusive right to live there with your children. 2. Derek is ordered to vacate and not interfere with that possession. 3. Primary custody to you, with child support from him. Emily's fingers tightened on the folder. How fast can they make him leave? We've requested an emergency order, Harris said. The judge will review it quickly. If granted, we'll have a formal directive to serve him with eviction from your property, not the other way around. She nodded slowly. And he'll be served at the apartment? Yes, Harris said. Service has to be formal. A court officer will deliver the documents. He can't pretend he never saw them. A small breath of something like satisfaction moved through her. Will I have to be there? You don't have to be, Harris said. But if you want to witness it with support, and with me there, it can sometimes close a chapter. Emily thought of Derek standing in that doorway, telling her to leave. Of Lily's face. Of Noah's question, "Why, Mom? I want to be there," she said quietly, "but not alone." You won't be, Harris replied. Derek and Ava sat at the dining table, Emily's old table, now covered in candles and expensive takeout instead of school projects and snack bowls. Ava swirled her wine. You're in a good mood today, she observed. Derek grinned. Everything's aligning for me, Ava. Your contacts, my skill. We're unstoppable. Ava smiled faintly, though doubt still flickered behind her eyes. The posts she'd made here had drawn comments, some supportive, some nosy, a few asking about the family that lived there before. She hadn't mentioned those to Derek. He raised his glass. To new chapters, clink. He had no idea an entirely different chapter was being written for him across town. Mr. Harris walked Emily to a quieter hallway before they left. Once the judge signs off on the temporary possession order, he said, a court officer will serve Derek. He'll also receive the divorce petition and custody motion at the same time. He showed her a copy of the request, already stamped. Service will likely be tomorrow morning, he said. You'll get a confirmation text from my office. Emily nodded. After that, he added, we'll prepare for the full hearing. But the temporary order should be enough to get him out of the apartment and to make clear that you and the children are the ones with lawful right to live there. Her throat tightened. So, the law will say what I already know in my gut. Yes, Harris said, on paper, in court, enforceable. They stepped out through the courthouse doors into daylight. Emily's phone buzzed a few minutes later as she and Tara walked toward the parking lot. A message from a blocked number. Judge signed the temporary order. He will be served tomorrow morning at Unit 27. Emily inhaled sharply. Tomorrow, Derek would open a door expecting control. Instead, he'd be handed reality. And this time, he couldn't slam it back in her face. Derek popped open another bottle with so much force that champagne sprayed across the bedroom doorway. He laughed, unbothered, wiping a few drops off his shirt. Come look at this with the new lighting, he called. You're going to love it. Ava walked toward what used to be Noah's bedroom, now transformed completely. Where a small bed and toy car bin once sat, there was a pristine white vanity under warm bulbs. Where Lily's drawings had been taped, a large mirror with a gold frame now hung. Shoe racks lined the walls. Ava clasped her hands, half delighted, half uneasy. It's beautiful, she said, but the word came out careful. Derek wrapped his arm around her waist from behind. A fresh start, he murmured. Just us. No baggage, no distractions. That word again, distractions. Ava's eyes flicked to the floor, where a tiny sticker of a cartoon rocket still clung to the baseboard, missed during repainting. She frowned slightly. You're sure everything's really over with your wife? She asked. Legally, I mean. Derek's jaw tightened for a split second, then he smoothed his expression. She left. He lied easily. We're just doing paperwork now. It's done emotionally. This is just formalities. Before Ava could push further, the doorbell rang, hard, sharp, authority behind it. Derek frowned. Who comes this early? The bell rang again. "I'll get it," he muttered, straightening his shirt as he walked down the hallway. He swung open the door. A uniformed court officer stood there. Next to him was Mr. Harris. A few steps further back, near the elevator, stood Emily with Lily and Noah, their hands tucked into Tara's. Emily stepped forward alone as the door opened. For a moment, time stopped. "Derek Carter?" the court officer asked. Derek blinked. "Yeah. Who's asking?" The officer held out a packet of documents. "You've been served. Temporary order for exclusive possession, eviction from this premises, and divorce petition. You have been legally notified." Derek stared, then let out a disbelieving laugh. "Eviction? You've got the wrong door. This is my place." Mr. Harris's voice cut in, calm but firm. "No," he said. "This is Mrs. Emily Rhodes' property, paid with her inheritance, titled under her trust. You have been living here only because she allowed it. That allowance is now formally revoked." Ava appeared just behind Derek's shoulder, drawn by the voices. She froze at the sight of Emily and the kids. "You said she left months ago," Ava whispered to Derek. "You said she didn't live here anymore." Derek's face flushed. "Ava, I can explain. This is just—" Emily stepped forward to the threshold, careful not to cross into the apartment. Her voice was quiet, controlled. "You told me to walk out of my own home," she said, "with your children. For her." The hallway went completely silent. Derek flipped through the papers, panic creeping in as he saw the deed in the name Emily Rhodes, the trust structure, screenshots of Ava's social media posts from inside the apartment, a printout of Ava's text asking to start moving my things in early, Mrs. Green's witness statement about seeing Emily and the kids leave with suitcases. This doesn't mean anything," he stammered. "You never told me it was yours. I thought—" "The law doesn't require her to protect you from your own lack of attention," Mr. Harris said. "It only requires clear ownership, which she has." Ava's face drained of color. She looked between Derek and Emily, her voice barely above a whisper. "You took a mother's home," she said. "You told me this was just yours, that you were starting fresh. You didn't say you'd thrown your children out." Derek reached for her arm. "Ava, don't listen to them. This is between me and Emily." She stepped out of reach. The court officer cleared his throat, returning the focus. "Per the court's temporary order, pending your full hearing," he said, "you have 14 days to vacate this property. You are not to impede Mrs. Rhodes' access when she returns. Any violation can be enforced by law." Derek's head snapped toward Emily. "You can't do this," he said hoarsely. "You're really going to kick me out?" "After everything I've done?" Emily swallowed. Her hand tightened around Lily's. "I'm not kicking you out of your home," she said quietly. "I'm reclaiming mine." The officer stepped back to give Emily and the kids room to move toward the elevator. "Mrs. Rhodes," he said respectfully, "you'll receive notice of the full hearing date soon. Until then, this order stands." Emily nodded. "Thank you." Derek's voice cracked behind her. "Emily, we can fix this." "Don't do this in front of the kids." She didn't turn around. Instead, she spoke for them to hear. "Daddy made his choice," she said gently. "Now I'm making mine." The elevator dinged. The doors slid open. Lily squeezed her mother's hand tighter. As the doors started to close, Emily caught a last glimpse of Ava pulling her arm away from Derek, eyes full of something that looked a lot like regret. The doors shut. The next time they'd all be in the same building, there would be a judge watching. Order in the court. The bailiff's voice rang out as Derek slammed both palms on the defense table, eyes wild. "I didn't know," he shouted. "She never told me the apartment was hers." The judge, a composed woman in her early 60s, looked over her glasses at him with a patience that was clearly wearing thin. "Mr. Carter," she said evenly, "you will sit down and let the proceedings continue, or I will hold you in contempt." Derek's jaw clenched. He sank back into his chair, bouncing his knee, fingers drumming. Emily sat at the opposite table beside Mr. Harris. She sat straight, hands folded on the folder in front of her. Lily and Noah were not inside. They were in a supervised playroom down the hall with a court-approved sitter. She had promised herself they would not hear any of this shouted. The judge shuffled some pages. "The court has reviewed the verified deed, the trust documents, financial records, witness statements, and the submitted screenshots from social media," she said. On the screen near her bench, Images appeared one by one as exhibits were referenced. Ava's balcony post from Unit 27, the blurred living room photo, the dressing room post in what used to be Noah's room, caption, spare room, Ava's text about moving my things in early, time-stamped photos matching the period after Emily and the kids were forced out. Next, Mrs. Green's written statement was read aloud. I saw Mrs. Rhodes and the children leave with luggage. Mrs. Rhodes appeared distressed. The children were frightened. I later saw Mr. Carter bringing another woman and shopping bags into the apartment. Derek shook his head, muttering, "It's twisted. They're twisting it." The judge continued. "Mrs. Rhodes," she said, turning her attention to Emily. "Just to confirm, the funds used to purchase Unit 27 came solely from your inheritance and personal savings?" "Yes, Your Honor," Emily replied. "There is no mortgage. Derek never contributed financially to the purchase." "And Mr. Carter was informed that your late father's lawyer structured the property through a trust?" the judge asked. "Yes," Emily said. "I told him we'd met with my father's lawyer. He said paperwork bored him, and that if we said it was safe, he was good. I did not hide that my dad's money paid for it. I just didn't think he'd throw us out of it." The judge nodded, then turned to Derek. "Mr. Carter," she said, "regardless of what you chose to pay attention to, the law is clear on ownership. Ignoring documentation does not create an ownership interest." Derek's shoulders sagged. "But I lived there. I helped furnish it. I brought in business." "She can't just, you forcibly removed your spouse and children from a property you did not own," the judge said sharply, cutting him off. "Then allowed another woman to occupy it, turning a child's bedroom into a dressing room while your children slept on a friend's floor." The courtroom went quiet. Mr. Harris remained calm, letting the facts speak. "Therefore," the judge said, reading from the bench order, "this court rules as follows. Property. Unit 27 is confirmed as the sole and exclusive property of Mrs. Emily Rhodes under the existing trust. Mr. Derek Carter is ordered to vacate immediately, if he has not already done so, and is prohibited from interfering with her possession. Custody. Temporary primary physical custody of the minor children is awarded to Mrs. Rhodes. Mr. Carter is granted supervised visitation pending further review, given his recent conduct. Child support and costs. Mr. Carter is ordered to pay child support in an amount calculated under statutory guidelines. He is also ordered to pay half of Mrs. Rhodes' documented legal costs to date." Derek's mouth opened, then closed. He looked like someone who had just watched the ground drop out beneath him. "This ruling," the judge finished, "is effective today." She lifted the gavel. The sound rang through the room and through the end of their marriage. Derek pushed through the courthouse doors, tie crooked, face pale. He looked older than he had a month ago. Waiting at the bottom of the stairs was Ava, not in designer clothes this time. Jeans, a blazer, hair pulled back, no makeup. Her expression was not angry, it was tired. He hurried toward her. "Ava, you heard in there. You know this is crazy. Emily's blowing everything out of proportion." "You and I," Ava held up a hand. "I listened," she said quietly, "to every word, to the judge, to your neighbor's statement, to the timeline." Derek swallowed. I didn't think it would go this far." She studied him, eyes glossy. "I don't mind risk," she said. "I've built my life on risk. But I do mind lies." He flinched. "You lied about being separated," she went on. "You lied about the timing. You lied about whose money paid for that apartment. But what I can't get past," she looked away for half a second, "is that you threw your children out of their home and called them distractions, and you let me turn your son's bedroom into my dressing room without telling me what it used to be." Derek reached for her hand. "Ava, please, I need you. We can rebuild." She stepped back. "You don't need a billionaire," she said. "You need a conscience." A car pulled up to the curb. She opened the door. "Goodbye, Derek." The door thumped shut. The car pulled away, leaving him alone on the sidewalk. Derek, looking at his phone as an email pops up from his company. "Due to reputational concerns and breach of our ethics policy, we are terminating your contract effective immediately." He calls coworkers. Call ended. Number blocked. Messages to friends show as seen but never answered. In the nearly empty apartment boxes piled, walls bare, Derek stands, surrounded by half-packed belongings. The dressing room vanity is dismantled. The silence around him is heavy. For the first time, There's no background soundtrack of his big plans, just the echo of his choices. Warm light, modest furniture, crayon drawings taped to the wall. Lily colored quietly on the floor. Noah watched a cartoon, eating crackers. Emily washed dishes at the sink when a knock sounded at the door. Her shoulders tensed. Another knock. Louder. She dried her hands and opened the door just enough to see Derek, not polished, not confident, just hollow. "Emily," he said, voice cracking, "I messed up." She stepped outside the doorway, pulling it mostly closed behind her so he couldn't see inside. He rubbed his face. "Ava's gone. Work is gone. My friends, I don't even know who's still around. I can't sleep. I can't walk into that apartment without feeling sick. I just want my family back." Her heart twisted for a moment, not in longing, but in sadness for the person he'd chosen to become. "For the kids," he said desperately, "can we try again? Counseling? Whatever you want. I need you." Emily held on to the edge of the door, her posture steady. "For the kids," she said calmly, "I will do exactly what the court ordered." His face crumpled. "We'll coordinate through the visitation center," she continued. "They deserve a relationship with their father. But you made it very clear who you wanted sharing that apartment with you. And it wasn't us." She didn't yell. She didn't list every wrong. She simply put a boundary in place. "Please," he whispered, "just think about it." "I have," she said softly. "This is me thinking clearly." Behind the door, Lily's voice floated faintly. "Mom? Is everything okay?" Emily glanced over her shoulder. "Everything's fine, honey. I'm coming." She turned back to Derek. "Good night," she said. She closed the door gently. Derek stayed in the hallway, staring at the painted wood, realizing for the first time that this wasn't a temporary phase he could charm his way out of. Behind the door, Emily rested her forehead against it for a moment, exhaling slowly. Lily slipped her small arms around her waist. "He thought losing us would be temporary," Emily whispered to herself. He didn't understand that some doors, once closed, don't open again. Her phone buzzed on the counter. A message from Mr. Harris. "Now that possession is restored and the court order is final, we should talk about what you want to do next with the apartment long term. Next steps." For the first time, those words didn't scare her. They excited her. Dishes clattered in the sink, loud, bright, alive. For the first time in months, that sound belonged to home, not to someone else's version of it. Emily paused with her hands in the soapy water and listened. No echo of Derek pacing, no uneasy silence filled with doubt. Just Noah racing a toy car along the living room rug, Lily humming to herself at the coffee table, working on another drawing, the low murmur of a cartoon in the background. Unit 27 felt different, smaller, somehow, but only because it was finally filled with the right things. The high-end, sterile decor Derek had picked out with Ava was gone. The sleek chairs that looked good in photos but hurt your back? Sold. The giant abstract art that never meant anything to anyone? Taken down. In their place, a soft rug where the kids sprawled with crayons. A second-hand bookshelf filled with their favorite stories. A few framed photos, her father, the kids, and one of Emily at the kitchen counter laughing with flour on her face. The old dressing room, Ava made out of Noah's room, was now painted a calm blue and held 2 beanbags, a small desk, a shelf with school supplies, and a sign Lily had written. Reading corner. Emily dried her hands and walked to the fridge just as Lily ran over, waving a new drawing. "Mom, look!" It was a bright picture of a tall building with a heart over one window and 3 smiling stick figures in front of it. "That's us," Lily said, pointing. "And that's our apartment." Emily smiled, warmth swelling in her chest. "It's beautiful," she said, and taped it to the fridge. Her phone buzzed. "Hello?" she answered. "Emily," Mr. Harris's voice came through, calm as always. "Good news. All the final paperwork is processed. The divorce is officially finalized. The apartment title remains solely with you and your trust structure. Derek's child support schedule is locked in and enforceable." Emily closed her eyes for half a second, absorbing that. "Thank you," she said, "for everything." "One more thing," he added. "The judge added a note about your efforts to maintain routine and stability for your children during the process. That's rare, and it reflects well if anything else comes up in the future." A quiet smile tugged at Emily's lips. "I just did what I had to do for them." Sometimes doing what you have to is what sets you apart, Harris replied. If you ever want to discuss selling, renting, or restructuring the trust, call me. For now, enjoy your home. I will, she said. She hung up and just stood there for a moment, letting the word home settle in fully. A knock sounded at the door. She opened it to find Mrs. Green holding a small green plant in a ceramic pot. Welcome back, dear, Mrs. Green said with a gentle smile. Good to see this place with the right people in it again. Emily's throat tightened. Thank you, she said, accepting the plant. For everything. I don't know what I would have done without your statement. Mrs. Green waved a hand. Those children deserve their home back. I just told the truth. She patted Emily's arm. If you need anything, I'm still right next door. After she left, Emily carried the plant to the kitchen window and set it down where it could catch the sun. Then she went to her bedroom and opened a small fireproof safe. Inside, she placed the now thick gray folder. Her father's will, the trust documents, the deed, the court rulings, the final divorce decree. She rested her fingers briefly on top of it. I used to think a home was just walls and furniture, she murmured. Now I know it's also signatures, boundaries, and the people who actually belong inside. She shut the safe and turned the lock. Then she went back to the living room, where Lily and Noah had spread out more paper. Mom, draw with us, Noah called. She sank down onto the rug with them. Together they drew another house, bigger this time, with more windows. Can I put a name on it? Lily asked. Go ahead, Emily said. Lily thought for a second, then carefully wrote over the roof. Rhodes. Emily blinked. Why that one? She asked gently. Lily shrugged. It's the name on the papers Mr. Harris showed you, right? Grandpa's name? You said he helped us keep our home. I want that name on the house. Emotion swelled in Emily's chest. Then that's the right name for this drawing, she said. Grandpa would like that. Noah added 2 stick-figure cats at the bottom, just in case we get pets one day. The camera, in your viewer's mind, slowly pulls back. The apartment no longer looks like a stage for someone else's status. It looks lived in. It looks safe. Emily's voice returns in a final voiceover. He threw us out to impress a billionaire. In the end, the only fortune that mattered was the one my father left in my name, and the strength I finally found in my own. She looks up at the window, light spilling in, then back at her children, who are laughing over crooked lines and silly cats. This time, when she smiles, there is no hesitation, just peace. I hope you enjoyed watching this story as much as I enjoyed creating it for you. If it moved, you don't let Emily's story disappear. Like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and comment the biggest lesson you're taking away. Tell me where you're watching from in the comments below. See you in my next video.